Hey, this is Stephen Amell, and you are listening to Tomorrow's Legends, the podcast. Don't fail your city.
In 2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this wonder twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as Tomorrow's Legends.
This is the end. Our only friend, the end.
What are you going on about this time, Flash?
Oh, I don't know. This is what happens when you don't have enough time to write something decent before the show.
Oh, I see what you did there. It's our finale. This is the end. Okay, I get it now.
And now, here are your hosts, the Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, the Maid of Mischief Harley Quinn, and the Blue Beacon of Hope, X-Force 11.
Yeah, and I was going to put a joke in there about, this is what happened when the writers don't come up with a good episode either, but it looks like we're all over the board tonight with our feelings about the finale, so I thought we'll save that for the episode. So welcome back, Legendaires, to Tomorrow's Legends. We are here for Season 6, Episode 15, The Fungus Among Us, the finale. I am the Flash.
And I'm X-Force 11.
Hello, Legends.
And Gideon is here with us, too. So, wow, we got some news. We haven't had news for quite a few weeks on the Legends show, and all of a sudden, apparently all this stuff was reported. I completely missed this, but I'm going to play the news clip, and you can get right into it, X-Force.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
That's right. We know that Season 7 is coming back Wednesday, October 13th at 8 p.m.
Wow. That's like barely a month.
Yeah, so we have a month, and we'll have 2 shows for about a month, and then we'll be just on to Legends after Stargirl finishes up. But what we know so far is the Legends will be stuck in this time period. We're going to get a flesh and blood version of Gideon.
No way! See, I didn't know that. Gideon, finally, in what could potentially be the last season, we're finally going to get her in person.
And
yeah.
Matt Ryan will be a regular, and he will be playing Dr. Gwen Davies, who the description is an eccentric scientist from the early 20th century who might be the Legends' only hope.
Okay.
And we have the episode titles for the first 5. They are The Bullet Blondes, The Need for Speed, and then the third episode is computer code that basically looks like it refers to Gideon, and it basically says that the Waverider can't find the Gideon operating system. Then the 4th episode is Speakeasy Does It, and the 5th is It's a Mad, Mad, Mad Scientist. So that's what we know as of now.
See, and if Legends is anything, at least they're creative with their episode titles.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, because any of that could mean anything. At Need for Speed, I would imagine, is a race car episode. Maybe they got to go to racetrack for some reason.
Yeah.
Bullet Blondes. Yeah, I'm guessing that's Ava and Sara.
Yeah, I mean, we're in Prohibition era, so that gives it, the speakeasy type thing, so yep. So.
Yeah, there you go. And Mad Science, maybe that's when Constantine's new character, or Matt Ryan's new character, gets introduced.
Yeah.
is that episode, because maybe he won't be around for the first couple, just so they don't. They probably want to ease us into not having Constantine around before they introduce the same actor as a new character. So that's probably my guess there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Cool stuff. Well, let's get into our show. Ratings and reviews. Overall, for the finale of Season 6, what did you think?
So, I liked it a little bit better on the second watch, but I gave this one 7 weddings interrupted. So I enjoyed the continued story between Gloria and Spooner. I love the dynamics with the team prepping for the wedding, but I didn't like that the closure with John and Zari went so quick, and also I would have really liked a longer conversation scene between Sara and Mick. We've got power swapping and the power of love, but I thought it was a little too much for me. Honestly, it was a Legends ending. I mean, it set us up for next season, but just some of the things just frustrated me, but I'm glad that we only have a month before the next season starts. But it's just so hard when you've got bright spots and then bad ones or not good enough ones that kind of drag it down. So those are my thoughts. It's kind of a mixed bag for me.
Yeah, I see that, and I saw everything on the Facebook page as well, and this is so interesting. Listen to what I have to say in my review here, because I'm giving this one an 8.5, similar story ideas, but done much better this time. Because I'm telling you, man, oh man, like I don't know what's going on with this season of Legends for everybody, and that's all of us. That's you and me, X-Force, for Harley, and all our listeners. But I have not once been on the same page as all you guys, and other than Carrie. Me and Carrie have jived quite a bit on Legends this season, but that's it. Every time that I hate an episode, all the rest of you absolutely love it. And when everyone else is bitching about it, I'm the one who really enjoyed it, which is exactly what has happened with this finale. I saw all the comments, I saw all the whining and crying and complaints, and I disagree with all of it. It's so funny. I found this was a far better finale in our Legends style than we've actually had in a while. Sure, and I'll dive into it because there's some points coming up. I felt it was actually quite a bit of a rehash of what they've done before, but it had typical Legends goofiness that was more fun than awful, and I just kind of went along for the ride, because if you remember what I said a couple of weeks ago, I've stopped expecting anything of real importance from this show, and it's actually allowed me to enjoy it more. Yeah, I still complain about the things that I really don't like, but it's allowed me to enjoy these last few weeks a lot more than I have been, which is a far cry from when I almost quit the show last season because of how bad I thought it was. So this is going to be an interesting talk, I think.
Indeed.
Well, let's get into it then, into our talk.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Okay, it was kind of hard to break things up this episode, so I really did just 3 sections. I did Mick and Kayla, I did John and Zari, and I did just the Legends in general. So let's kind of start off with Mick and Kayla.
Okay.
And we immediately picked up where we left off last episode, and we see Mick being a little bit burnt, but okay. And so is the last egg. And we found out, yes, Bishop did it all as a distraction to keep them busy while he left. And so, I like that aspect of it, of Bishop's distraction there. I was just a little, iffy on the scene and the explanation of why Mick is okay, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, and I saw your comment here, and I saw, like I said, everybody on Facebook. I don't understand why everyone's so bothered that he's okay and survived the explosion. Because the way I looked at it, we saw him get hit by the explosion and go flying back last episode, and that's where it ended. And we pick up with this one where he's just getting blown back really hard. And you have to remember, Mick's one tough cookie, so I'm totally fine with him being thrown out the door and slammed into the wall. The force of the explosion knocked him back. It's as simple as that. It's not like he stood there inside the explosion and like hung out in the fire. He got thrown back from it. I mean, we see it all the time in movies. We see it all the time in TV shows, so I don't understand why there's any difference here. He got blown back by the explosion, and he's okay. He's tough.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
X-Force is speechless. All right, next point.
So, this episode, we get to see Kayla really start to change a bit. And we see her fixing Gideon because Bishop stole her ship. And she really wants nothing more to escape with her kids. But Mick comes in and starts tending to the eggs, and we start to see his devotion to them and hear him stand up to be there with him. And I really appreciated his character there, and he's starting to get through to Kayla, and I like this progression that we started to see in the last episode and continue on here. So I like this progress that we're seeing.
Yeah, so to your first point, Kayla, with her fixing Gideon, she is someone that our team could sure use to stick around.
Oh, yeah.
She's like the best spaceship mechanic in the galaxy, it seems. And Gideon also trusts her to repair her and tinker with her, so there's that too. So, man, I would get Kayla to stick around for a while and fix Gideon right up, put on some improvements to her and stuff too. Yeah. Why not? Now, yeah, with Mick's devotion to his kids, Kayla says it's the females of her species that take care of the kids, and they do it alone. So what I was getting the feeling was that she's not used to a male wanting to take part, and I believe seeing Mick fight for that starts her on the path to trusting him and seeing that maybe he is a little bit different type of a male than what she's used to from her own species.
Yeah, and I think that and some other things really make a difference, but he is so different from what she's used to seeing. I mean, you compare him to Gary. So it's starting to make headway with her, and I like that. And so she boots up Gideon and is about to head to the time stream, and Mick grabs the clicker and powers down Gideon.
Yeah.
And basically he says, listen, I'm not going to let you leave with the kids, and I'm not going to abandon my team, and I'm not going to abandon the Earth. And I love how he's got all these priorities, but he is not putting one ahead of the other because he cares for them all, and she gets to see that in him.
I loved hearing that from Mick. That's the part of him that's grown so much over these 6 seasons. In the beginning, he didn't want anything to do with anyone other than him and Snart. But now, after 6 years, he sees the team as his partners, as his friends, as his family, and he's willing to take a bullet for them. Plus, he's always kind of been protective of his homeworld, but on a small scale, like protective of his city. But we've seen that grow to him as well as he's experienced aliens and space travel and whatever else is going on out there that's a threat to the Earth. We've seen that part of him grow as well, his willingness to fight for our planet. So I loved hearing this from him, that there's just part of Mick that has grown. And as much as we've been upset with his storyline that he's gotten this season, when they feed this in and it's just connected to the growth we've seen in his character, I really enjoyed here. He had good lines this episode.
Yeah, I agree. I think he really did. I mean, I'm not unhappy with the progress that we saw throughout this season, and with him especially in this episode. And Kayla gets to see his devotion, and then at the wedding she gets to see the love of Sara and Ava, and all that ties in, and she really steps up to protect the family, and I really appreciated it. It could feel a little bit cheesy, but I think that it just worked because of the nature of her relationship and Mick's and the timing of everything, and I thought it really worked.
Yes, yeah, I didn't sense anything cheesy at all. I thought she's a good counter to Mick, because Mick's, like I said earlier, he's a tough guy. We saw him crumble a little bit to her because she equaled him in toughness. She was basically the female Mick this entire time, and I think he finally felt matched. and it took him out of his, comfort zone of always being the tough guy, and he had to figure his way through that discomfort and get back to being himself, and that is what Kayla is seeing. And this stuff it's such good stuff here. I mean, she actually grabs his hand during the ceremony.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And totally surprised him. She has that look on her face like, oh, fine, you won me over, kind of thing. And what I think's happening is she's finally seeing what Gary has seen all along, and that there's something more to these humans, and that she can learn from it and maybe get just a little of something that maybe she's wanted herself. And that's some devotion from a mate and some devotion from a tough mate, because if it looks like all of the males of her species are kind of wimps like Gary, then she just expects that from all males from all species. So
right.
Mick is showing her something different, and like you said, she's finally opening herself up to it. Hence the holding his hand and stuff, and the look of, the look on her face, like, like, okay, I finally get it. But it's great. I just thought all of this was good stuff.
Yeah, it was. And it was just so cool to see it was their kids that end up destroying Bishop. I just love it. I think it was totally appropriate that he was like, oh, they're so cute, and they immediately just destroy him. I mean, it was just hilarious to see, and perfect that it would be their kids, the alien-human hybrids, that destroy him.
Exactly, you said it right, alien-human hybrids. Plus, because everyone's been complaining about Bishop all season long, the fact that his ultimate demise is a bunch of quirky little squid-faced, because those were the oddest little squid head things I've ever seen. I don't know what they were, and I was like, I swear there was like some squishy toy that looked like that a while back. That was like some sensation. Everyone was going out and buying them or something. Or it was reminding me of something from like a Super Mario game. I don't know. They looked so familiar, and I couldn't place where they were from.
Well, yeah, there's a reversible one that guys were giving their girls. There was a happy side and a sad side, so that was one. And it reminded me of the squid in Finding Nemo, one of Nemo's friends.
Okay.
so those two. So yeah.
Just funny. So it's just funny that they're what finished Bishop off finally. But I got a bunch of questions in regards to these little squid babies.
Oh yeah.
There's 48 of them. Do Mick and Kayla give all of them names? I mean, try remembering that many kids' names. So there's one question. And then, obviously, they're hungry, and we've seen the appetite of Kayla and Gary. How do you feed that many kids? How do you keep them fed all the time?
I know.
That's crazy. And my last question is, they look like full-on little aliens, but will they start to look human as they grow? Will the hybrid parts show up? What will they look like as they start reaching adolescent age? I'm curious.
Yeah, I know. And that would be something cool to see, is when Mick does come back and they pull him in, that we get to see if they grow faster than normal humans, and get some explanation, just little hints dropped in the background as they're maybe video conferencing with him or whatever. That it's going to be fun to see.
It'll be cool. Hopefully they do it. Hopefully they got the budget to show at least one or two of them to like hybrids. It'd be cool. It'll be like humans with tentacles or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So in the end, we see Mick leaving with his new family, but he always has a place on the Waverider. And we'll get into this a little bit later, because I know it's a favorite scene. But I enjoyed the scene. I enjoyed the talk, because these are the last two of the original team left.
Yeah.
And I just wished it would have been a little bit longer. I know we're dealing with a short timeline on the season finale that's only 45 minutes long, but I wish it would have been a little bit longer. And I wish we would have got some tie up with Lita and that side of the family too. I understand that this is a way of leaving but not killing off, but I don't know, it just wasn't quite enough for me. just because of how invested we are in Mick. But
yeah, no, and I totally feel it, and I get it. Like, it would be nice to have an entire episode devoted to a Mick storyline or something as a way to send him off, because I think he deserves it, because he's been there from the beginning as one of the originals, and he's been an integral character and a fan favorite for a long time. So, yeah, he did deserve a lot more. But I've got some points that as to why I'm still okay with what they did here, because in most circumstances we wouldn't have gotten much other than that anyways, like you said, because of time and all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad we got what we got. It was a nice moment, and it was a great little conversation with them. Plus, it actually kind of makes sense anyways for Mick. If you really think about it, put what we want aside, Mick is not a talky person. He doesn't like to talk about feelings. He doesn't like to have these big, long goodbyes or anything like that. He's a short and direct type of speaker. That's how he likes it, and I think it's totally suitable for Mick to have that with Sara. No big mushy stuff, no long, sorrowful goodbyes. It suits him. And I think just to be direct to the point like she was, that's the kind of conversation he wants. And I also enjoyed that he at least talked about Lita, and I loved what he had to say, which, like you said, is going to come back later in our favorite scene, but I will talk about it. I just loved what he had to say when he did bring up Lita. Now, the one thing that I do really agree with, and I think we've kind of talked about it, but I think it was Dreamweaver who stated it best, is that Mick should have had the storyline with Lita instead of turning it into alien family stuff. Because if you think about it, they could have done all of it. Every single aspect of this story that he had with Kayla and the eggs could have been done with Lita and her mom instead. If you just swap out characters, they could have done all of this with Lita and her mom. And it sucks that they didn't do that. But I don't know, maybe the actress that plays Lita, maybe she wasn't available, because we hardly even saw her this season at all. When I thought we were going to get a lot of her, we actually hardly got anything of her. So maybe she just wasn't available. I don't know. So instead, we get the alien baby stuff. As goofy as it was, in the end, though, it at least, I have to try to accept it, at least gave Mick something. Because they've had him on the back burner for so long. Like, we've been complaining for the last couple of seasons. Like, what is Mick? He's got one line. He sits in the background and makes one offhanded joke. And that's it. That's all we've gotten for him. So I'm trying to just be okay with at least we got something for him in the end here, because the writers have forgotten about him so much, and I think at least this gave us something, and that's all I'm trying to hang on to. It's our finale, and I was trying to be positive and take what I could, and we got some mixed stuff, and they ended it with him. So
yeah, I mean, for me it was good. It just wasn't quite enough, and comparing this section and the next section, the John section, I like it a whole lot better than that. So I'm more on board from it. I just wanted just a bit more, but yeah, I agree. It is in character, and you brought up some good points about who he is and how he deals with emotion. So I like that. Yeah. So. All right. So next up, we've got John and Zari, and so Zari comes in to tell the team that John is dead, and understandably, she is upset. She's bitter, and she's angry, and she did not get the closure that Astra had with John, and we talked about that last ep. So it was just hard to see. So
I actually forgot for a second there that half the team doesn't even know John is gone.
Right.
So once that realization hit me, I was like, you know what? Nobody got to say goodbye. It's not just Zari. I mean, she's had the last few months with him and kind of a relationship, but everyone else has had at least a few years with him. So I was like, man, that's going to hit everybody, actually. I know Zari's suffering this episode, but everyone's going to be affected. But like, wait a sec, we didn't get to say goodbye to John. He's dead. What? But Zari, I think she's going to be feeling those bitter and upset and angry feelings for a while because of the way the ending happened. At least, in this point of the episode, I was like, yeah, she's going to be feeling it for a while. But then later on, at the end of the episode, she does get a bit of that closure, and we'll talk about that when that point comes around. But at this point in time, when you don't have a chance to say goodbye or say what you want to say, or to even take part in the decision to to go, then she's going to be bitter and angry for a long time. So,
yeah. And it seems all that's left of him is a mushroom. And Bayrod puts out the idea that John is still alive in the mushroom and wants them to help. And she's just not up for it at all.
And who would be, really? It's Bayrod. He's been an idiot in most scenarios that he's been in. He's not been very helpful. They've tried to shoo him in and have him have good ideas, but this is where I see the writers struggling again, is they don't have any ideas of their own, and what I'm meaning is this totally reminded me of Marvel. They stole from Marvel. Instead of replanting Baby Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, let's replant John as a mushroom in a flower pot. And it was, as soon as I saw that, I was worried that was going to be the beginning and the starting of, I don't know, a little animated mushroom starting to speak, and it's going to be in little baby John's voice, and then it's going to slowly grow, and that's how we're going to get John. And I was like, oh God, you guys.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't go that way. It's just, that was my initial fear, and I thought, come on, guys, be a little more creative than just copying Marvel, because this is like the 4th or 5th time you've done something like that.
Yeah. But John is able to get through to Sara, and I liked a little bit of this talk. He says that he is the only one keeping Spooner and the fountain alive, but basically the fountain has given up on Earth, and we can really sense that that's thanks to him. I mean, it senses it's been bonded with him, and it senses, how he has chosen power over love and those type of things. And so it does give us some insight of somebody speaking for the fountain.
See, now, once I started thinking about this, I actually found this to make sense. I saw everyone's complaints on Facebook about it, but think about it here. He and the fountain both died from poison together while they were connected. So it absorbed him through its roots. We saw that happen. His roots and everything came up and absorbed him and pulled him into the ground, and they became one. Like, he now essentially is, in essence, part of the mushroom. And through that connection, through the mushrooms continuing to grow, the little alien mushrooms growing out of the ground, because he's part of them now, he can actually reach out. So I thought, why not? This is Legends after all, and if you really think about it, it makes sense with what I just described.
Yeah, exactly. And so the part that I really enjoyed in this is he was encouraging Sara that, when they first met, they talked about that they were, not meant for love, but this is, he's seen the difference that love has made in both of their lives. And I really appreciated this bit of advice that he passes on to Sara and the difference it makes in the rest of the episode with her.
Yeah, and first I want to say, John can't stop being who he is. He got to experience love and compassion with Zari, but that, like I said, it's only been for a few months. He's been John for his entire life, and people they rarely change. They're always their core selves, no matter what. So he has to kind of go off on his own way. But like you said, he learned from what he experienced, and I think in the way he was talking to Sara, and we see him all cleaned up, and he's all white and looking like a different person, white, like wearing a white jacket and a white shirt and everything, a white tie. He's cleaned up. I'm wondering if he's going to take that experience into his new path. Whatever path he's walking, will he take what he learned from his time with Zari into that and, have it help him some way with, we'll talk more about him with his soul and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just curious if that'll at least change John a little bit with how he goes about the things that John does, because we know John's going to be John.
Could be. Yeah. So, it is very interesting that after the battle, we get to see Zari. She goes to the fountain site to kind of get some closure, and she expresses her love and really lets him go and wishes that she could have been enough and their love could have been enough.
Yeah.
And we get closure here. And I liked it. I just don't know that it was quite enough for me, but I liked that we didn't get to see it last episode, and we started to get to see it this episode, and I liked that they at least put that that time in there.
Yeah, this kind of gives us what we didn't get last episode, and that's her closure. This is what it was. She did love him, but John can't be loved enough to change his ways. I don't think it's ever going to happen. As much as we were beginning to feel for them as a couple, we started enjoying them together. In all honesty, they really aren't good for each other. They're not meant for each other. I think there's too far a divide in personality types. It really is kind of this opposite attract syndrome here that often fails in the end. I think they are so opposite each other that they found things to be attracted and interested in each other, but there's no way this was a long-term thing that was going to work out.
Yeah. I don't know. I could have seen it working out, but we do get to see John show up, and he's looking more like his old self. And he, he first gives her a little bit of a line, and then he, basically says, in order to be freed from the fountain, he sold his soul to a demon again in order to be freed and to live.
That's John for you. Off he goes into who knows where, and he had a chance at life again, so he took it. But I got a few questions here, because we see him vanish into a golden flash. So was that really him in physical form there in that moment, or just a spiritual vision of him that he casted for them to see so that they could interact? I have a feeling that that's what that was. Because the way he just flashed into this golden poof, I don't think that was really him, unless he suddenly has a new magical ability where he can teleport himself. I don't know. I have a feeling that was some spiritual, projection or some kind.
I think it could be that, but I think he was actually there, and this may just be a magical ability that, when he was in bargaining for his life and his ability, he included, having his magic back, with that. So I think it's may just be, part of that different path. And he says he's walking a different path. He can't walk with the legends or with Zari anymore. But he gives her a key. And this raised a lot of questions for me.
Well, is it a key to his house? That's the only thing I can think of. It looked...
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he lives in a really old mansion, kind of English-style mansion, and that looked like the same kind of key, but I don't know. Just back to my point about him being in spiritual form, I don't know what deal he made if he can actually come back to life, because he gave his soul to whatever demon in hell now, and I don't know. I just thought, is this some type of ghostly travel that he can do? I don't know. If that really was him and he has a new magical ability, that's part of the deal. Maybe, what is his path? He says, I'm walking a different path than the legends now. Well, what is that path? Are we ever going to find out? Probably not, unless he shows up as a guest as Constantine sometime in the future. Who knows? But we can only speculate that maybe he's got duties now. Maybe there's something there's quests that he has to perform, whether it's for good or for bad. We don't know. The fact that he looks so clean and bright makes me think that he's kind of on the good side of things. I just don't know what. I mean, if his soul is in hell, then how can that be? I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of questions.
I don't think it's in hell, but I think he's back bound to it like he was
originally.
The first few seasons that we saw him. So
yeah. And that makes sense for him. That suits him.
So just my thoughts is this show made us want to see these two together and made us feel for them. And then they rip them apart. In typical Legends fashion, we get some closure, but it's not enough for me. And I honestly, I mean, none of the other Legends got to say goodbye, but they've let him go. But I honestly think that our idea of having John and Zari alive in the totem would have been a better storyline. But once again, we're not the writers on Legends.
Yeah, no, and that's fair enough. I mean, that's what you hoped would happen, and that's what you wanted to happen. I think after thinking about it, I'm not feeling so much the happy ending anymore. Like I was just saying, I don't think John and Zari are suited for each other. And me personally, as much as I love all the happy endings, because I'm an emotional softie and I cry over lots of things, I sometimes don't always want a happy, lovey-dovey ending, because that's just not realistic. Life isn't like that, or we'd all be with our one true loves right from the start. So I think just for Constantine, happy ending goes against type for his character, for the Constantine character. And I kind of wholeheartedly agree with Matt Ryan that John is a tragic character, and only a tragic path is the one that he's going to follow. And I don't know, he gets to live and continue whatever magic quest he's on, and I think that suits him just fine. So I had to think a lot about this, and I think I'm okay with what they did. I liked him and Zari together, but I think parting ways is probably the best for the Constantine character that makes more sense to me. That's yeah. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, if fans of Constantine are going to get Constantine, not Matt Ryan's, but
yeah.
Looks like we're getting, maybe a Constantine series on HBO Max or a Justice League Dark type of thing. So there's going to be more Constantine for Constantine fans.
Yeah,
so.
Just not Matt Ryan. We're going to get Matt Ryan on this show for one more season at least.
Yep. All right, so let's dig into the rest of the team and the kind of the meat of the episode. So,
well, actually, X-Force, let me just add one last point to the end there.
Sure.
We're getting Matt Ryan as this new crazy scientist next season. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. I've only ever known Matt Ryan as Constantine. I've never seen him act in anything else. So let's see what he can do. Let's see his acting ability and what he can bring to a whole new character. I'm actually kind of interested in that.
Yeah, I'm excited about him getting to just stretch his acting chops and getting to see him play a character that is not so up in the lore. I mean, he spent a lot of time reading the comics to really get a feel of the character of Constantine, and he really dug into that, and I like that, and I appreciate that. So this will be very interesting for him to make something his own and be a character, and the writers can actually write to maybe his strengths, and he can do things that we've never seen him do because it's not in the Constantine mold. So I'm very anxious to see what he does with it. So let's go for it.
No, I totally agree with you. So, and like you said, let's move on to Legends. Good points.
So the Legends have to figure out how to get around Bishop, and they say, okay, well, let's go and steal an earlier version of Bishop. So they go to 2212 and steal that version of Bishop to reverse engineer a cure for Spooner. And this is kind of interesting because we get to see this version of Bishop who still has that ego, but he's a lot more humble. He's a lot more timid. And he is able to find that cure, and we just get to see him by the end we get to see him vow not to be that version of Bishop, but the legends know that can't happen. They have to zap him and send him back. So I did appreciate getting to see this earlier version of Bishop and see, how he got to where he was. And so I liked getting to see that. Not so cocky as the vision that we saw at the Bishop that we saw earlier in this season.
Yeah, and I will agree with you there. To even get a little bit of backstory of Bishop, a bit of an origin, you could call it, for him, to show us what he was like before he became the how do you say that? Egomaniac?
Megalomaniac and egotistic.
Yeah. So that was cool, but this is what I was talking about in my review rating. Haven't we seen this trick before? That's what I mean with the story.
Mm-hmm.
They've done this before. Maybe the writers are hoping we've forgotten, or maybe they're the ones that have forgotten, but they've gone back in time to get an earlier version of someone to help them out with the current version, or something along those lines. This has been done before. But the problem is here, once you show Bishop what he becomes, with the ego that he already has, he'll think about it and then get to his plotting sooner now. So they, in fact, would have screwed up the future anyway by doing what they did. So now they do flash wipe him to keep the timeline in check, knowing it's all going to come around again anyway. Everything has to stay in check. So now what I liked about this scene, with you, like in seeing an earlier version of Bishop, I did like seeing the very first Ava, though, and his early process of making her. And that it failed. Like, she's like, hey, I'm alive. And then 5 seconds later, I'm dying. That to me was sad. Like, I don't want to watch Ava die ever. And it just gave us that little bit, that one last little tidbit of Ava clone backstory that I have been enjoying so much, because Ava's my favorite, and we finally got all the cloning stuff back again. We got one last little bit of it, and I really like that part.
Right, and we see it's her neural net that's overloading, and that could be the reason that he cuts down on the emotions with the Avas, is a way to kind of circumvent that in the early process. So I like that. I like that we get to see the very start of Ava.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I like that we get to see, now that Spooner's well, get to see her happy and being with her mom. I have really enjoyed these last 2 episodes because of seeing this connection between the two. And it is so good because we see her wanting to protect her mom, to send her off to safety, because she knows that this is a desperate situation and that if her mom is there, she's going to be distracted. And I love it. She sends her mom off to send her to safety. And I like it because it's helped round out Spooner and make her, just a more of a character, and make me appreciate her more. And maybe I'm just hoping, and I don't know if this is the case because I haven't seen any casting to know if the actress that plays her mom is going to be back at least for an episode or 2 next season. But maybe since they're stuck in 1925, we'll get to see a little bit more of the two of them. And I just, like I said, I really appreciate the two of them together.
I'm probably guessing you're right there because they're stuck there right now. She might help them in the next couple episodes, however next season starts off. But this is what I was laughing about in my opening monologue, is why I'm so apart and different from everybody, because I didn't really care about Spooner and her mom. I just had nothing connected to me to them, because I've always felt Spooner is just another tag-along character that was already one too many to begin with. And I don't know. The acting was fine, that the story was fine. I said that last week the story was okay with what they did, but I just didn't get emotionally attached to it at all. I wasn't feeling any heart tugs. I wasn't feeling any tears well up from them or whatever. But because what it gave me more was questions. Doesn't doesn't the fact that older Spooner is hanging back in time with her mom, doesn't that screw up the timeline somehow? You're not supposed to spend time in the past with earlier versions of everything. So the fact that she spent this much time and has told her mom so much and is spending it, just to me, that's going against all the stuff they've told us or taught us about time travel on the show. It should be completely ripping time apart or something. I don't know. It's just that I was more worried about that than feeling for them.
Well, I think the big fact of the thing is we know that her mom will never have interaction with the younger version of Spooner ever again.
Okay.
So because the younger version of Spooner is now in the future growing up.
Yeah.
And won't come to the past until she's an adult.
Right.
So it's
That's
not
the cycle.
it's not like adult Spooner's interaction and talking with her mom is going to have an effect on young Spooner because young Spooner's out of the picture.
Yeah, I guess that's one way you can get around it.
I mean, as far as like other things of talking about, time travel and sci-fi, that kind of stuff, yeah, you can kind of compartmentalize stuff too. But yeah, it may feedback some, but it would. Like, the issue is I don't have with it is because, like I said, we know in order for the timeline to work, young Spooner won't ever see her mom until she's grown up. So there's not going to be that mixing of the mom that knows things with the younger Spooner.
Okay,
so
that's an easy enough way around it, I guess. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to bring up this point because we need to bring it up, I guess. Bayrod is back, and mostly as a plot device. To get Sara to eat John's mushroom, to prep the wedding food, to be the wedding singer. And honestly, we just haven't missed him the last 2 episodes.
I haven't missed him, we were joking that we didn't even notice that he was gone during those last couple episodes, but, I'm going to give him a couple credits here. He's a good cook. And the team is lucky to have him making meals all the time.
Oh, sure.
And the fact, like, that little tray of hors d'oeuvres and stuff they made for the wedding, they look darn good. That guy...
And they didn't even get to eat it.
But that guy's got... There's what he should do, is become a wedding caterer. Perfect.
Yeah.
And the other point I'm going to give him is, if it is I'm pretty sure it is, he's a fantastic singer.
Oh,
holy cow, can that boy sing. And I really liked the song that he sang for them. That is what got me in the feels, because he's singing about love, and he's just singing this wonderful thing as they're being led down the aisle by Mick and by Gary. It was beautiful to me. And I'm actually going to use that song later in our show. I thought it was beautiful. That is probably my favorite thing about Bayrod, is that he sung the perfect song for Sara and Ava's wedding. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Honestly, when they give him things to do that fit the character, I'm fine with it. It's just the stoner boy aspect of things that I just don't get. And, like, if you can evolve him as a character to where that's part of who he is, but not, like, everything he is, it's not, like, the cornerstone. But I just don't think that they can do that for him because that's the way they've set him up. But we'll see.
Well, that's it. It's the stoner jokes that it's worth a giggle, maybe a ha-ha the first time, but when you drag it out for the entire season, it's not funny. Stoner stuff is not funny. You watch a stoner movie, a couple jokes are funny, but by the end of the movie, you're not laughing at it anymore. It's just, you can't drag it out a whole season. It's not funny. Simple as that. All right, this next point deserves this.
Form of water.
Because we both agree on this one.
So, with the fountain dying and refusing to protect the Earth, the Zargons show up, and we have a quick fight with 2. before they signal the rest to come take over the Earth. And again, Nate gets knocked down and unstills. I mean, he can stop a train in steel form, but one guy knocks him out, and as soon as he falls over, he unstills. I am just... Give him a different power if you can't afford to have him steel up and use his powers. It just makes no sense.
That is a huge nitpick right there, if I ever had to find one. You got to put this into perspective here. He should not be able to be knocked out by an alien punch while he's in steel form. That is ridiculous. He's in steel. I don't care what, unless you're Superman, I don't care what is punching him, they're going to break their fist or their arm or their tentacle, whatever it is, before it knocks him out. That was ridiculous that he gets punched, falls over, hits the ground, and unsteels because he's knocked out. It's ridiculous. Give him a new power? Okay, sure. Or how about take his powers away and let him just be a historian again? You know, maybe give him the ability to like a photographic memory or something, and he can remember I mean, he's already got a good memory, so maybe that's a bad idea. I don't know. If steel is not working, if you guys cannot write interesting stories for his steel ability, I mean, that stopping the train scene was the best moment I've ever seen for him. It was one of my favorite heroic moments of all time. If you can't come up with stuff like that, then just be done with it. Change it. You know, you have to. And I've got to ask something as well about the Zargons. When they show up and come out of their pods, they're running around with flash-like speed. Why don't they continue attacking in that speed or at that speed? That would make them a lot scarier.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe they are like cheetahs, that they only can do the speed at short bursts, or else they, it just runs out their endurance. And yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe it's some, War of the Worlds thing that the Earth's atmosphere they can't handle, so their speed only lasts a short, brief time because the atmosphere is affecting them. I don't know. You can come up with all kinds of things, but it just doesn't make any sense. They should just continue to attack like that, and our team wouldn't stand a chance.
So their invasion force arrives, and they're basically still in their pods until nighttime. And the Legends decide to fight. But first, they're going to have a wedding. And I liked that John's talk with Sara just made her say, okay, let's do this. Let's get wet. Let's get this wedding done. Have the wedding first and then the battle. And I really enjoyed the wedding prep montage. And it's part of my favorite scene, but it was just so good.
Yeah, okay, you got a couple points there. So my curiosity at first is this about the Zargons. Why did it seem like they only invaded that little farm area where the Legends were? You'd think if it was an all-out invasion force, they'd be landing all over the planet. But it seems like they all focused on that spot. I don't know if it's because of the fountain being there or what, but
yeah, I think there was a throwaway line about that they were there and they were going to kill the fountain. Finish killing it. So I don't know.
Didn't catch that or forgot, because that just seemed off to me. Like, wait a second, that's weird.
Yeah.
Now the wedding stuff though, it was so much fun. It's kind of funny because it was actually a little bit out of place in this episode, but the writers, I'll give them credit here. They worked it into the story as a quote-unquote, before we die, I want to do this type of moment. Sara and Ava, if we're going to go out, we're going to go out married. I want this before I die. Okay, that's fine, because otherwise the wedding is completely out of place. It's just like, really? But I like how they wrote it in, and it was fun. It was. We'll talk a little bit more about it because it is part of our favorite scenes. It was a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was sweet, and it was on brand for Legends, and I like that. And I really, really like Nate's speech. I think he did a really good job at setting things up, and I like that. I liked him being the officiant, I liked it.
Again, we will come around to all of this. That was a legend-style wedding if I ever saw one. But it was a real nice moment, actually, that the whole team was there, Sara and Ava's wedding vows, and I'll say it again, Bayrod's song. Everything came together. They made the wedding in the middle of in the brief moments before a war, something really special.
Yep. But then Bishop shows up and ruins everything. Typical for this season. So basically, he uses Kayla's ship to darken the skies early, and then basically taunts Sara and says that they're going to be the new Adam and Eve. And it was just typical for Bishop. And, here we go.
See, you actually just made me realize something. I didn't catch that he was darkening the skies to speed up the process of the Zargons coming out of their little pods. I had forgotten that they only come out at night. And the fact that he ripped around and darkened the sky, that was right over my head. Wow. But as for Bishop, he got really kind of icky this week and last week with the whole idea of just him and Sara being the only two left, and that was all he wanted. That to me actually was really icky this episode. The last two episodes I was like, Bishop's okay. I started defending him a little bit, but this episode they brought it back to his weirdness and, like I said, icky. And then I got this question. What was he going to do when he just walks up to them there at the wedding? Sure, he's got a gun in hand, but he's not going to be able to shoot all of them with a gun unless it's some kind of weird alien crazy gun of some kind. I don't know, but I was thinking, what is he going to do? He's a regular dude, no superpowers, and he's just got a gun. Our team can handle that. So that must have been some type of alien gun that probably shot out some wave-like energy beam to take them all out at once. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe it would have killed everybody, but since Sara has her basic own invulnerability, she would have survived. So,
yeah,
who knows? So we get into the fight with the aliens, and this was very Night of the Living Dead, scene here. Bayrod gets bitten. Sara wants to cut off his arm to save him, and then we get more mushroom fountain magic with Spooner. Now she can swap people's powers magically.
Okay. Again, lots of stuff there. So, first of all, that was totally a zombie film moment right there. And the fact that Sara wanted to cut off his arm, that if anybody watches The Walking Dead, they've done that in The Walking Dead. If you get bit or scratched, they have to cut off whatever got bit or scratched before the virus spreads through your whole body. So, yeah, total Walking Dead vibes there. I have to say, I was kind of disappointed in the Zargons that's all they did. They were just swarming the house like a bunch of zombies. Wait a second, I thought this was an alien invasion force. I expected more from them. Not to be swarming the house like zombies or like a bunch of big overgrown insects. I guess their world endangering threat is just sheer numbers. I don't know. I was kind of let down by them there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, as for Spooner, I won't play the clip, but that is another nitpick for me. Way too plot device convenient there for me. Oh, it's we're outnumbered and trapped. I'll just suddenly have power swapping abilities, which actually makes no sense, because instead of changing people's powers, why didn't they just trade the spots that they were in? If you needed Mick to fight the zombies at the door, why didn't just he run over and start doing that? It was weird. It was a weird plot convenience that actually didn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it didn't to me either. I mean,
and is that going to be an ability that she has going forward now?
We don't know. I mean, we don't know. We don't know if going forward, will she have the ability to understand aliens? Will she have the ability to make people feel her emotions? Will she have the ability to swap people's powers and abilities out? We just don't know.
And that's part of why I really didn't have any interest in her character, because she seemed to be the character of convenience. Whatever they needed to have the episode progress, they gave to her. Oh, you need this? Okay, she's got that ability. Oh, we got to get out of here. All right, she can do that now. What? That's just... and that's why she didn't grow on me. I just...
But we do see Kayla giving them time. so that the legends can group together and let Sara and Ava finish their vows because they didn't get to say their I do's. And we get the love saves the day. And I just thought this was so funny because as soon as this episode went off, I switched over and was watching Back to the Future Part 2. So I immediately thought Huey Lewis and the News, The Power of Love. And 2 time travel shows on Sunday night, Power of Love, saving the day. And the Fountain reverses its decision and decides to protect the Earth, killing all the Zargons.
And where have we seen that before? Oh yeah, my most hated episode ever, the Bebo episode. Let's all join hands and share our power to stop the big bad threat. Except this time...
Guardians of the Galaxy
that
1.
Too. Except this time, I much preferred the outcome. No stupid Bebo-like crap happening here. Instead, just the energy of their love for each other and the energy of them being a team and being a family. That's what saves the day. Much more acceptable as a Legends way to end things for me.
Yeah. I agree. It's much better than Bebo. Much better than Bebo.
Like I said, they rehashed a lot of their ideas already, so but it was better this time.
Yeah. So, in the end, we see the Legends walking out to the Waverider, and we see the Waverider get blown up by what looks like the Waverider. We don't know if it's from the future. We don't know if it's from the past. I mean, could it have been Bishop when he had it in the past and blowing up the Waverider in the future? Right. I don't know, but it leaves the Legends trapped in 1925. So lots of question. Is it our Waverider or is it a different Waverider? When is it from? We just don't know.
I'll come to that in just a second. I loved Ava stating the obvious fact, and this is my bonus favorite scene if I had it ready to play. She says, "Things rarely wrap up in a neat little bow for us," and that's the tongue-in-cheek, make fun of ourselves humor that I love about Legends, and I know Harley loves too. And just Ava, the fact that Ava's stating that fact, I loved it. I loved that moment.
It was so good. So good.
Now, what the heck just happened? Another Waverider comes in and blows them up. Well, was it just another time ship piloted by someone else? Because we know there is other time ships and they all look similar. We don't know if any are left out there since that whole season when they were, being chased by other ones and helping dying ships out, all that other stuff. We know they're out there. So could this be another one? And if so, why would they be blowing up Gideon? Is that so they can't be followed and have time travel to themselves? Maybe this was a bad guy. Maybe this is, like you said, Bishop or somebody else, a time pirate or whatever, in another time ship coming to blow up this version of them so they cannot be followed. Or, here's my other idea, was it our Legends team coming back in time to blow themselves up because something in the future goes horribly wrong and they feel like stranding themselves in 1925 is the safest, best option? That's an idea. But here's my big theory. You gave us one with Bishop. I hadn't thought about that one. But here's my big one. We think next season could possibly be our last. So what if in true Legends writing style, this is some massive time loop paradox event type thing that in order to stop themselves from ever time traveling again, because they all want to retire and live normal lives now that, 2 of them are married, Mick's got kids, whatever, maybe they all want to go back to their normal lives, they come back themselves and blow themselves up, and that's how our show comes to an end. That stops time travel, and there we have it. Done.
Interesting theory. Interesting theory.
We'll see. I'm curious, and I'd like to.
See.
We should do a poll on our Facebook page, people's theories for what this Waverider blowing the other Waverider up could mean. We'll see, and maybe it'll be in some of our feedback coming up. But before we get to that, it's favorite scene time.
Planetary powers, activate!
All right, yours is up first tonight.
So mine is Gary's pep talk to Ava. So let's take a listen.
I would have picked this one if you didn't. I love it.
Here's your gown.
Thank you, Gary.
What are you writing?
Nothing. I'm writing nothing because every time I write something down, it's stupid and meaningless, and wedding vows are supposed to be perfect.
You waited until right now to write your vows? Sorry, it's just very unlike you.
I waited until now because before I was focused on every tiny detail of my dream wedding, and now we're throwing it all away and racing into this slapdash ceremony, and I have no time, and I feel like I'm gonna just screw it all up.
Hey. Deep breaths. Huh? It's gonna be fine.
How? Sara already wrote her vows, Gary. Sara, the person who never plans anything, already did the one thing that every wedding needs.
Okay, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna walk down that aisle to the love of your life. She's gonna say some very beautiful things to you.
I'm not helping.
No. And then you're gonna look deep into those gorgeous blue eyes of hers and say what you feel.
I feel sick.
Don't say that.
I don't... What do you... You want me to improvise? Me?
Yeah, you. Because I know what you say in that moment will be perfect. Because it's true. Because it's you.
Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Will you please walk me down the aisle?
It would be my greatest honor, Director Sharp.
Aww. So good. So good. I really appreciate this because he has always been her biggest fan. And so it's really great that he gets to encourage her. And it is just sweet and special that she asked him to walk her down the aisle. It's just special. And I just loved it. And I had to choose it.
I was gonna if you didn't. It is Gary's best scene ever, and there's so much that I love about it. She's panicking, stressing out, and he's there for her, and he's not panicking. He's keeping her calm and in check. And it just dropped. The fact that he calls her Director Sharp, it calls back to how much time they have been together. He was one of her agents all along, way back when we first met her. And she was the director of the Time Bureau. They have a huge history together. And finally, in this moment, Ava is not talking down to him. She's talking to him equally as a friend based on their long history together. And she says, will you walk me down the aisle? Because they are really close. They're best friends, essentially. And like you said, he has supported her all along because he's been her number one fan. And it's just, it was beautiful. It was a magical moment, and I love that she asked him.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah, awesome stuff. That's one of my favorite scenes in a long time. Out of the last 10 episodes, or even this season, that was probably my favorite scene this season.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to throw one in. We're going to play mine last. I've got a bonus one for Harley here. I wish she could be with us here for our finale. This one is for Harley. I have a feeling she would have picked it. It's Ava and Sarah's wedding vows to each other. We've been waiting all season for this wedding, and the love and devotion that these two have for each other is so palpable. It's so believable and so realistic. And I included Nate's beginning speech, so it's that whole scene. Here it is.
We're gathered here today on what may very well be our last, to celebrate the union of these two amazing people. I fondly remember the moment they met. She had a gun. She had a glare. Destiny was at work. We've all been through a lot since that day. And on that journey, you've challenged each other to be the best versions of yourself possible. This moment, this wedding, this is exactly what the world needs. We're facing insurmountable odds, but even during the darkest of times, when hope seems lost, love is what matters most.
Ava, the perfect woman. What could a mess like me ever have to offer someone as special as you? Can't exactly say it was love at first sight. But you did look really good in that pantsuit. But the more that I got to know you, and I got to feel your kindness and your honesty, well, this heart, once so cold and guarded, it just melted. And Ava, it's because of you that I get to know what true love feels like. And so, today, here, in front of all of our friends, I want to make these vows to you. I will always be your champion, your lover. I will always be your family. And I will listen to you even when the words are hard to hear. And I will let you in even when I'm afraid. And I will support you. I will fight for you. And above all, Ava Sharp, I will love you.
Sara, my life before you was a perfect fabrication. And then you came into my world and everything just became a whirlwind, you know. You brought chaos into my tidy, predictable existence, and you pretty much brought me to life. So I vow to you to live this life together. Co-captains forever, baby. I love you so, so much, Sarah Lance.
Aww. I hope Harley appreciates that one. That's some amazing stuff that they both had to say and performed so well, and they both looked so beautiful. It was a really good wedding moment, for sure.
Yeah.
And Nate's speech, too. Just, yeah. I mean, Nate's been quiet. The last few episodes, he's hardly has had anything to say. And he finally got to have a really good line, a good speech here. And it was great. Mm-hmm. But he looked tired. I don't know. He looked really tired this episode. Like, they've either been working late nights on the next few episodes or something. I have no idea, but he looked tired.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it's finale time. We're not going to talk Legends for a month and a week, so of course we're going to have 3 clips for you. And I'm going to go with the Mick and Sara hanging on the porch together. We need to have Mick's final scene. It's...
Oh, yeah.
We just have to, so here it is.
Life's crazy, isn't it? Imagine if our first day on the Waverider, we traveled to this moment, to this house, and we saw me, a captain with a wife, and you with 48 kids.
49. And a grandbaby on the way.
I don't think we would have recognized ourselves.
No. Gotta move forward, I guess, to the next job. With a new partner.
Yeah. I had a feeling that was coming. You know you'll always have a home on the Waverider. But I guess you'll be busy taking care of 48 punks.
Well, I've learned a thing or two about handling punks. Watched you do it for 6 years.
There you go.
What's this?
It's a bridal bouquet. That means you're next.
See, it's over a beer, just a few words. That suits Mick. I know we wanted more. I would love to have had more, but in the end, I think this suits Mick. And I love that he, in Mick fashion, compliments Sara that, you know, I've learned a few things about taking care of punks by watching you. That's a Mick compliment. You don't get much more than that, and I love it.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
It's good stuff. You know, finales are tough. When you hear our favorite scenes for the last episode of the season, normally we're waiting 6-7 months, but I know only a month is our wait time this time. It's still hard. I always find the finale tough to essentially say goodbye for a while. We have to let go for a little while. It's always tough.
Yeah.
But we're not done yet. We got some feedback. Let's do that.
If you don't dial, it will cry like a violin. Feedback.
Now, this is exciting. In time for our finale, we got an email from a friend we haven't heard from in a long time, and that is Tails. Tails is here. She says, "Hey, X-Force and Flash, figured I would try and get some feedback in since it is the end of the season, even though it won't be long till the next one. This season had a lot of ups and downs, which I suspect might have had something to do with the filming during COVID. That's true. That could be. However, I was happy with how it wrapped up. I'm definitely a Spooner fan and think that having her there did wonders for Astra's character. Next season, if they decide to pair those two up instead of Astra and Bayrod, like they were hinting at earlier this season, I wouldn't be opposed." You know, she's got a good point there. Astra was better because of her friendship with Spooner. I will give them that.
I wouldn't mind seeing that friendship go forward. I don't know if I ship them, but yeah.
No shipping, yeah. I just think as friends, they're great together, yeah. I'm very happy we got an Avalanche wedding this season. With the early renewal for next season, they could have easily stretched it out until next season. It'll be interesting to see a married queer couple on TV next season, as I don't believe I've seen that before, that most other shows have finished with a wedding. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. But it'll be good to see what they do. Hopefully it's not now that they're married, it ruins the stories and the writing and stuff. I hope it doesn't go that route.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see Constantine's story finally finished. I didn't hate him as a character. I just felt that he dominated the story too much when he was there. It is sad for Zari 2.0, but I'm glad she got to have a proper goodbye with him after how it was left last episode, and maybe this will give more opportunities to see Zari 1 next season. Although, if they do the same thing again next season where she's just there to be Nate's love interest, I would rather they not bring her back at all. Honestly, that was probably the thing I disliked most this season. Zari 1.0 was a well-defined character, and to make her nothing more than a love interest was disrespectful to her character. Yes, here on to that point. Zari 1.0 was just amazing, and yeah, they definitely. I really enjoyed the final scene with Sara and Mick. It will be sad to see him go, but I completely understand why Dominic would want to leave after that storyline. They should have focused on his relationship with Lita instead of failing that, come up with another one. I didn't mind the him and Kayla stuff. I just think they could have easily done the same story minus the pregnancy. Yeah. I mean, him and Kayla could easily have hooked up and not done with the eggs in the head kind of thing. But still, this is where I'm a little confused. Alien, timey-wimey, space sci-fi, hand-wavy aside, she wears a ring to make herself look like a human. But she is not human, so he has to realize that he's in love with a predator tentacle-looking thing, which, I mean, he's in love with the appearance that she gives him. So it's weird. I don't know.
Maybe he likes both.
Maybe. Anyway, she goes on, I have to give the writers kudos on actually having a season-long villain instead of introducing them in the back half of the season. While Bishop seemed like a douche bro in the first half of it, actually helped build him up to be a good villain in the end. Anyways, looking forward to the podcast and to see and hear you all next season. From Tails.
Thanks, Tails.
Yeah, she's got a good point. He was a season-long villain, essentially. He wasn't always there, but yeah, he got better. I did start defending him. So anyway, it's just good to hear from you again, Tails. It's been a long time, so we're glad you're still out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Next up, we've got an email from Daryl Washington. That bomb was as lame as Bishop. I love Mick, but we all know he wouldn't have really survived being that close to a detonation. So we'll go into Flash's explanation on that one. I'm a big fan of Spooner's mom. Still not here for the Constantine Zari 2.0 drama. Reverse science. Yeah, I see why Nate's a history professor. It's called reverse engineering. An alien invasion? The CW can no longer do season finale alien invasions and not bother referencing other superheroes that they share the Earth with and why no one is showing up. Well, Different time period at least for this one.
Yeah,
okay, I see what you're saying.
That's true. The heroes we know aren't even born yet, so...
Yeah, exactly. Such a beautiful wedding. Even before they said a word at all, my internal organs turned to goo. Co-captains forever was in their vows.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't quite buy the whole Kayla-Mick romance lasting. If it weren't for the kids, they wouldn't be together, so who's to say they'll stick together once the kids are grown up?
Well,
I don't know.
Think about what I said about Kayla changing, so maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. Allison Shoemaker of the AV Club said, but it feels like somebody slipped in a scene when the writer's room wasn't looking because they didn't want Johnny C. to die. It did really feel like that. Why does Matt Ryan need to come back as a new character at all if Constantine is alive? Again, we've kind of talked about him getting to play, be somebody new, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
And Mick gets just one goodbye scene? Yeah. I'm there with you on that one.
Yeah, but Sara is the only one he's really connected with. I mean, who else is he buddies with that's left on the show right now?
Yeah. Sarah's hardly the only one he connected with over the years, but he's forged a connection with, and now he's gone so unceremoniously. I agree, he's had connections with others, but like Flash said, it's Sarah's the main one.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Sorry 1.0, they were developing a friendship.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen scenes with him and Astra, but him and Nate never really buddied up. Him and Bayrod never buddied up. That I don't know. I mean, him and Ray had a bit of a thing going, but
yeah,
I think his friends are gone. Sarah's really the only one.
Yeah.
All right, Thanks, Daryl. Next up is Perry White. He says, "Hey, Flash and X-Force. I don't know exactly what I want to say about the finale, other than it gave us the send-off for two characters we expected to leave. Beyond that, it gave us the Avalanche wedding we were waiting for, even if Bishop tried to ruin it. And yes, I will admit that Sara Neva's vows were really heartfelt, and I cried. I love them so." Nice to also see that Constantine and Zari got a moment together, but I don't know that I'm okay with him going back to status quo with his soul being owned by a demon, and he's back to walk a lonely path. Sure, he saved Astra, but status quo makes it feel like his time in the Legends was a waste.
Good point.
Unless he is walking a little bit lighter of a path. That's my only thing I'm thinking about. But anyway. Other than that, there was a bunch of stuff happening that I don't know if I want to try and wrap my head around. Heck, I'll try anyway. Number one, there ain't no way in hell Mick survived a point-blank explosion. If that's the route they wanted to go, they should have included one line earlier in the season that said something like, Mick met Cisco when he went to see his daughter and he gave Mick a nanotech suit upgrade to withstand fire explosions because Mick told Cisco that he's still a hothead. Problem solved. Other than that, there's no way he survived. Again, I tried to explain how that would happen. Oh well, everyone can feel what they want about it.
Yeah.
Number two, how can spoons all of a sudden transfer powers? This is original Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer plot contrivance. Yep. That was one of our nitpicks for sure. Number three, was getting past Future Bishop just for fun? I know they whammied him, but I gotta imagine that'll have repercussions. Yeah, we brought that up too. Number four, the Legends better be wearing time couriers after Nate made that remark last episode, otherwise they're trapped in 1925. Yeah, that could be an easy way out of it. Maybe they're all wearing the time couriers.
I don't know.
And what about where they're going to go to, because the ship's blown up. I don't know. We'll see. Number five, I'm guessing that was fully embodied Gideon who blew up the current Waverider. I'm going to guess that whatever Bishop did to the ship corrupted it, and Gideon might be a villain next season. Ooh,
wow.
Now that is a fun idea.
Wow. Evil Gideon.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Way to go, Perry. I like it. Oh, she could have some fun being bad. Oh, yeah. Six, and finally, taking the season as a whole, completing it kind of coherently in a pandemic is a success. Just look at the inconsistencies of The Flash and Supergirl to understand how difficult it was. I say all that to say this: in spite of its flaws, Legends is the misfit crew show that you want to spend time with, warts and all. Until next season, this has been Perry White. I'm out.
Nice.
Yeah, if you compare it, because Superman and Lois struggled with their breaks due to COVID, the show never lost a beat, but where they did screw up is their viewerships. Their viewer numbers went way down because of all the breaks they kept having. So, yeah, that messes things up. And Flash was really a wacky season this season, too. So, yeah, I guess give Legends credit if you can.
Yep.
All right, last up is a voicemail from Dreamweaver.
Hello, Legendaires. Dreamweaver here with feedback for the Legends of Tomorrow Season 6 finale, The Fungus, Amongus. And my shining review from last week did not carry over into this week.
Oh, no.
Quite the opposite. Man, I don't want this whole podcast to be grumpy, but not knowing exactly what Flash and X-Force 11 are saying about it, but I can guess. I think I have to bring my friends the Legends into this one to help me get through the feedback. Sound good, guys?
Aye.
Good. Because this one gets a 4 at best from me.
What?
Maybe a 4.2,
Wow.
just for the meaning of life joke that could have happened.
The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42.
But this episode falls so really flat, and all I have to ask is, why?
42?
For one, they walked back everything hard-hitting about the last episode. The opening scene to this was literally Rory being completely fine after we watched him literally be swallowed by that fireball. It feels insulting. I watched that, and I'm pretty sure out loud said to my TV, "Oh no," because that just felt indicative as to where the whole episode was going. And I was sadly right. So Constantine isn't dead. He just made another deal with the devil and is back to square one? Again, what was the point then of his arc if you weren't going to leave him actually dead? And the Fountain not being dead but dying and tied to John's life force, that's fine. But the one thing that you carry through the season is the taking of drugs, the being high.
Are you on drugs?
Honestly, should have seen that coming, as we're dealing with a magic mushroom. Joke's on me. But again...
Are you high right now?
Constantine's semi-final moment was as an angelic figure while Sara is tripping on shrooms. I hate that that's a sentence. I get that that scene was supposed to be nice with them getting a last moment together, but the fact that it happens because Sara is tripping on a shroom that had John's voice telling her to eat him, all euphemisms aside because this is a family-friendly podcast, just left a weird taste in my mouth. And it was a mushroom. This is what the character arcs have been reduced to, if you could call them arcs. Having a What Would Sara Never Do day reminds us why we love Sara for the things she does do, and not the things she never does. Bishop, both younger and older versions, were back to being annoying instead of menacing. Seeing Ava Prime was the only enjoyable part of that. I 100% would have been okay with younger Bishop being sent back, not memory wiped, so he sees the error of his ways and the season never happens. Because aside from the Avalanche proposal and wedding, this whole season was an unfocused mess that feels like it had no purpose. I mean, there really wasn't much that built up or carried through the season. It was kind of a haphazard plot. Sara got turned into an alien hybrid clone for no reason, as far as I'm concerned. Nate barely got to do anything all season. Mick had a terrible storyline when a further continuation of his relationship with Lita was right there, aside from the possibility of scheduling conflicts with the actress. And I really wanted to see that after they built that up last season so nicely. And speaking of Mick, he got one farewell scene of him talking with Sara on the porch. We didn't even get to see him go, nor did we see him get a goodbye or farewell with anyone else. Almost everyone else who has left the show at some point has gotten more. And for that to be it for one of the longest standing members of the team and the cast, I feel insulted again. The whole tension of the episode was resolved because of a Duex mushroom, and magical powers destroying all the Zargons. Convenient. I will bring this back.
It's gonna be super easy, barely an inconvenience.
The power transfer thing was cool for like a minute, which was as long as it lasted, because on one hand it was cool to see Ava have a steel arm and Sara getting Astra's magic, but again, it really just came out of nowhere with no build-up. And is it just me, or did anyone else kind of want to see Bayrod lose his arm? Might have made him slightly more interesting. All the stakes were gone, especially since earlier in the season there was no cure for that venom, and now everyone is just getting healed left and right because of regeneration powers. Magic mushroom hug. I want Bebo back. I know that may be sacrilegious on this podcast, but Bebo made for a better finale.
No!
The only saving grace of this episode was the Avalanche vows and the wedding. That's it. And having Nate be the official, that was kind of fun too. It kind of sucks that this is a season where all the Avalanche proposal and wedding went down, because that was the only thing really elevating this season. I'm pretty sure I can count on one hand the number of episodes I truly liked and enjoyed watching. Which sucks, because this started with a pretty strong premise and premiere that should have naturally lent itself to individual character storylines and an exploration, given what it set up initially with the abduction and the team having to explore what that direction means for them, which should have then lent itself naturally to good emotional fallout and tension. But it quickly turned into nothing but gags, good times, and surface-level relationship drama. And I really only spend so much time being negative because I know this can be better. And I know this show can treat its characters better. Half of my favorite Arrowverse characters are on this show. I want the heart and the depth of character arcs and the humor to all be there. And if this truly had been the last season like we were all thinking for a while, this would have been a tragedy. So for that, I am thankful that there is another season, so this won't be the end. And from what I've heard and seen so far, next season will be more simplistic, which after this, I am great with. And now I guess I want to see also why the Waverider blew up the Waverider. Alright, I will wrap my thoughts up. Had to bring out all those sound clips to make this a little more fun for me. I hate being so negative, and I don't know if the thoughts are fun for the listeners, but, well, this is just where I'm at. This is my feedback. So, until next season, your friend Dreamweaver.
I could have chosen any time and any place. Of all the people who ever lived, I chose you 8. I certainly hope that you won't let me and the world down.
Yow.
Oh.
Rip.
Thanks for your thoughts, Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate where you're coming from, and again, we want to hear everybody's thoughts, highs, lows, everything in between, because that's what makes this special, is having everybody's thoughts, and every voice is valid. We can bring up some points here and there, but we each have a right to our opinions, and I'm glad that you shared yours with us.
Yeah, that's the way it's always been on the show, and that's what this is all about, guys. We do not, not play or read people's thoughts unless it's, really crude and vulgar or whatever, anything like that. I mean, you guys put up with me wearing my yellow suit for half the season in these last 3 seasons. I get downright cranky about a lot of things, and it's my show, but that's okay. You guys put up with it, so you guys can send us all your thoughts, good or bad, like X4 said. But just know, Dreamweaver, that I am the editor of this show, so I can delete out all that stuff about Bebo. How dare you say, bring back Bebo, he's far better than this. We are definitely, we've lost, I think we were 2 peas in a pod, and I think the pod split, and we both fell out on either side these last few episodes. But, as always, we do love your guys' thoughts.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter @tomorrowslegends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
All right, before I kick in the cueing music, we got one last thing we're going to cover here, and that is an overall season ranking. I don't think we've done this usually for seasons past, and I think it's something we should kick in for every season finale for all the shows we cover. Let's do an overall season ranking by the end of it.
Sure, sounds good.
All right.
So I gave this one 7.5 Michaela babies out of 10. So it was just way too uneven for me. It was better than last season, but when you compare it with season 2, it just can't stand up. And I'm very interested to see what they do next season when time travel appears to be out of the picture. So I'm hopeful, but I'm just like, okay, let's move past this, because, like I said, when we did, the show did, y'all did the rewatch of season 2, it was just such a bitter compare and contrast to where we were and where we are. So let's hope season 7 gets better.
That was a huge slap in the face to compare then and now, definitely. And that's why we wanted to do it, because people, and we did it with season 1 too, because people complained about season 1, and so we wanted to see, was season 1 really that bad? No, it wasn't. We wanted to see, was season 2 as good as we remembered it? Yeah, it was. So it's been fun. I don't think we're going to go back and rehash the other seasons, because it's time that we don't have right now. But
yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to give this season 6, I'm going to give it a 7, and that's a 7 hopes for season 7 that it finishes strong, if that is indeed our last season. Now, I've been thinking, one of the things I wanted to say about Abby's last thoughts there, Dreamweaver, is she's not the only one. Everyone was complaining about Mick and only getting one goodbye with Sara, and that was it. And we don't even see him leave her. Well, remember, the Waverider got blown up. I think he's still sitting there. Unless he left with Kayla on her ship, then he's gone for sure. But I have a feeling he's still there, and he'll probably start next season with our team. Maybe. I guess that's maybe my hope. I don't know. I just had a feeling like he didn't get a chance to leave yet. Maybe we should look at that last season as they're all or that last scene. Are they all walking towards the Waverider?
Yeah.
Let's pause for a second. I'm going to just do that. That way I can actually answer this for everybody. I'll look at that last scene. If he's in that group, then we know.
He's not.
He's not? You already looked at it?
Yeah, there's everybody's there, but he's not.
You're right. Okay. 140. Okay, we paused the podcast real quick just so I could double check, and X-Force is actually right. Mick is not there walking towards the Waverider, so he must have left with Kayla. So I take back what I was just trying to say. I guess he is gone. Anyway, this season, I think a 7 is about where it sits. Like you said, X-Force, too much up and down, too many bad episodes that I think kind of outnumbered the good ones this season. But the good ones were really good. They really shined. So it brings this season kind of at an average, like a 7. And let's just see what they do next season. Where are they going to take us? And I'm going to watch the season promo that they always release, but I'm not going to get fooled by it this time. They always make it look like it's going to be so good this season, and they fooled us too many times. So let's just see what they do.
Yep. Indeed.
I have no idea. And that's all we got. That was our last thoughts for the night. So to finish off our season, I told you I was going to use it. I thought during our final thoughts, let's listen to Bayrod sing, because you know what? It was a good song.
For you, there'll be no more crying. For you, the sun will be shining, and the songbirds are singing like they know the score. And I love you, I love you, I love you like never before. And I love you, I love you, I love you like never before.
And that's all we have for you this season, Legendaires. We'll see you in a month. This is The Flash, signing off.
This is X-Force 11, so say we all.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.